Hello everybody, welcome back to Catch Up Court. I go by the name of Hines. Thank you so much for tuning back in for another Catch Up Court episode. I am your friendly neighborhood Catch Up man and we are back for another trial, which I honestly did not expect this trial to be going the way. I didn't think there was this much craziness happening in the Donna Adelson trial. That's the trial that we are going to be covering and catching up as the case go on. Of course, we've been covering the Christopher Wolfenbarger trial, so I didn't get an opportunity to do the Thursday recap when it was happening on Friday. However, now is the perfect chance to basically do that. And like I said, I don't know anything about this case. I don't know the background. I have heard of Charlie Adelson trial. I believe publicly buzzed, who is a friend of the channel. He is covering that case. I've been on his channel when he was covering the Rust case, but the Alec Baldwin and Rust case. But he's covering the Charlie Adelson trial. I don't know anything in regards to that particular trial. I don't know the pre-trial motions in regards to this case. I don't know what Wendi Adelson has been testifying to. But ever since I looked into the opening arguments for this particular case, I was extremely shocked, because this murder for hire conspiracy charge that is being levied against Donna Adelson seems, from those opening arguments, it seems extremely persuasive. But can they deliver? That's what we're going to be going through on our day one recap. So for those that don't know this particular case and was in the same position as me, I'll do my best to try and bring a bit of background to it. But yeah, so for those that don't know about the case, like I said, hold on, my internet literally just is playing with me at the moment. But never mind. Never mind. Thank you. Hey, Ticket Trial, welcome to the stream. Let me just quickly go on to this now that I have my internet back. For some reason, all my tabs closed, but never mind. Anyway, moving on. Donna Adelson, she is facing a first-degree murder charge, as well as conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, as well as solicitation to commit first-degree murder, and this is all because of events stemming from 2014 when Dan Markel was killed by hitmen. Well, it turned out to be hitmen. He was in a bitter divorce with his then wife, Wendi Adelson, and that's where all of this unfolded. And he was essentially shot in the head. And now we're here. When I say now we're here, I don't want to go through the full background, because, like I said, Charlie Adelson has had his own trial in regards to his involvement with this particular murder for hire. Wendi Adelson has been, from what I understand, from what I know of the background, Wendi Adelson has been questioned many times by investigators. She has also been part of the hearing from in regards to this trial, but the only difference here is she hasn't been charged. I'm gonna say yet, because of what happened or the testimonies that I've heard on day one. I do believe she might get charged after this particular trial, but Charlie Adelson was the first one. Anyway, let me go into the theory of the case. And the prosecution began with their theorizing that Donna Adelson was the main conspirator in the killing of Dan Markel. and they essentially said that Dan was shot in broad daylight, and he was being followed by two men who were in a Prius, and they went into his house and basically shot him while he was getting ready to leave the property. They theorized that all paths from the investigators lead to Donna Adelson, and the state also theorized that Wendi and Donna spoke in emails of bribes to Dan Markel to make it possible for Wendi to relocate to Florida with the children, like he wanted. Like she wanted, that she basically wanted to have custody of the children, but this was actually denied. They also theorized that Donna was instructing Wendi to aggravate Dan's life so that he could eventually give over and give into his custody demands. But Donna was not happy the moment that the judgment was handed down in divorce court, which meant that there was no hope whatsoever to have the children going over to South Florida. So there was no hope of that happening. Wendi Adelson could not retry the case or could not apply for the relocation of the children. So that's when Charlie Adelson come in. Charlie Adelson came in here, and they also theorized that Charlie and Donna would speak regularly, and Donna would stress to Charlie how Dan was a crazy person, and they would file custody violations and violations up to his death. So they were trying to essentially show that they were doing everything that they can behind the scenes to make sure that he loses that judgment. And they also theorized that 48 hours after Dan Markel was killed, Donna Adelson, Wendi Adelson was the one to have moved into the street and lived there, and their problem was solved. So Wendi Adelson, Donna Adelson, etc., had moved onto the street where Dan Markel was basically living. They theorized that when Wendi Adelson, Dan Markel's ex-wife, had told the police when she spoke to Donna about the death of Dan, that at least Wendi said, at least she looked surprised and joked about hiring a hitman into killing Dan Markel, and spent the money, and they also spent the money on TV. But this particular TV became code word or Donna's alibi, because she had set up a TV repair appointments to basically hide our tracks. They also theorized that they thought they got away with murder and haven't spoken for 2 years, from 2014 to 2016. And the prosecution also theorized that the police staged an event where an undercover agent had posed as a blackmailer and gave a piece of paper of Dan Markel's murder article and gave it to Donna. So Donna at this point had put the article in her pocket, and she never called the police in regards to this article, saying that someone is after them or anything like that. That's what the prosecution were trying to say. And the first thing that she did was call Charlie Adelson, saying that they're talking about us on this article that was given to them by the blackmailer. And they again mentioned the TV in their communications, and they also theorized that Charlie had called his ex-girlfriend, Kathryn McBenoit. I could never say her name properly, but Kathryn McBenoit, and she was supposedly the person to have set up this particular hit. The prosecution theorized that they were speaking in analogies, knowing that the police is likely listening and reassuring her and Charlie was basically reassuring Kathryn McDermott that the police need hardcore proof to prove that there was any kind of crime that occurred, that that they don't just that they look for confessions, all of these things, and all of these things before they would make an arrest. They were having this communication on the phone essentially, and Charlie Adelson also decided to try and get Adelson at this point decided to try and get the blackmailer killed, and had called Garcia, who the state had theorized had made the first hit on the Prius, and how Rivera had cut a deal with law enforcement and confessed to the killing of Dan Markel. They also theorized that the Adelsons and Kathryn would speak in code, and again, the TV was being mentioned a lot, which is how they got to understand that this is how they essentially spoke in code, and how they would communicate with each other. They theorized that the Adelsons had a lot of money at their disposal, and they also theorized that hours of Charlie Adelson being convicted, that Donna was searching for countries to flee without extradition treaties, and 3 days of boarding a one-way flight to Vietnam. She was arrested at Miami airport. They theorized that she was sending bribes to people to give false testimony in this case. This is when I was actually hooked, because I was like, I was like, wait a minute, what's this got to do with her? What has this got to do with her, Donna, in this case? If it is just all these people that carried out the hit, what part has she got to play with that? And until I heard that she had boarded that flight to Vietnam, I was like, okay, we may have something here. And that is where I thought, yeah, let me follow this trial and see where it leads. But the defense came up, and their theory was quite interesting, because they theorized that the jury have heard a lot about what others had done in this particular case, but not what Donna had actually done. The defense theorized that Dan Markel was an accomplished professor who was respected, and highlighted that two people are the ones that killed him, the hitmen, basically. And they theorized that Wendi moved out of the house after the divorce, that Dan did not essentially want this divorce. They also theorized that he agreed to a 50-50 custody with Wendi. And they also theorized that Donna is just a normal person, and she shouldn't be put through this. They also theorized that the state can prove that Charlie and the hitmen had killed Dan, but it's just theory with Donna, and they have no evidence that Donna was actually included in all of this conspiracy. They highlighted that the state had propped her up in the media as the mastermind, but they have no evidence. So that's essentially what both sides had to show in their opening statements, the theory. And honestly, the state do have a massive, they promised a lot. They have a lot to deliver here, because even with their opening, if someone wants to be really, really critical, they would be looking for, okay, but how does this all connect back to Donna Adelson? Like I said, I've come to this case brand new. I don't know the background, so there could be information that you guys probably already know. So, but from what I'm seeing, from what I saw from day one, yeah, like we are really in for a treat. I do. This does remind me. This particular case does remind me of the Sheila Aji case that just been adjudicated. It's in the same. It's not in the same county, but the same state. So they have they have a similar statute in regards to how they pursue or charge first degree murder. So for Sheila Aji, she did not carry out the killing. The son did. So she was still convicted of his particular murder because she was sending messages to the son to basically carry out the killing. Didn't actually dissuade the son from going forward. So if that's the type of evidence or something along those lines that the prosecution has, I'll be very interested to see. But it's just day one. So yeah, so I can't wait to see what unfolds. The witnesses, there was only 5 witnesses presented today, and that was James Geiger. He was the person that called 911. Then Sergeant David Sims, he was the officer on the scene, and when the third witness was Joanne Maltese. She was the crime scene specialist, who recovered the projectiles, etc. Craig Isom was the fourth witness. He was the detective in this case. And then we heard from Louis Rivera, who was the driver of the Prius. So I'm gonna go through all of those witnesses, but I just want to say hi to Becca. Welcome to the stream, and hello everyone, the lurkers, especially you guys. Let me know how you're feeling in the chat. Also, if you're watching this back on replay, let me know how you're feeling and what you think of the show. But yeah, I will admit this case is a doozy. I'm going to have to really look at I might have to look at the Charlie Adelson case to kind of get a bit of a background as to what might come out in this case. But that being said, I'm tempted to do that, but I want to come in as a juror. I really want to come in as someone that doesn't know anything about this, but I am tempted to actually look into that particular case to get a bit more of an idea. But like I said, I'll leave a link to Publicly Buzz channel who is going through the Charlie Adelson trial. He does this awesome series called Murder Church. So yeah, if that interests you, definitely go check that out. So let me go over. James Geiger, he testifies to, he was basically in the neighborhood and he heard he says that he heard a loud noise and he thought that someone had broken into Dan Markel's house, and he testified to going over to the house. He went over twice. So the first time he went over, he just saw the vehicle as he was standing outside the garage. He thought that he was just backing up, so he went back to his house. But 5 minutes later, no, the car did not come back out or reverse back out. That was his particular testimony. So he went back again the second time, and he then saw on the driver's side a bullet hole and the glass being shattered, and that's where he saw Dan was basically bleeding from his head, and there was blood everywhere. So he called the police at this point, and the audio call was played. When the audio call of when he was reporting this incident to the police was played, is what I was meant to say. So there was no cross-examination of this particular witness. Then we heard from Sergeant David Sims. He was the responding officer when he heard and he just basically testified to what he was told by James Geiger, that he just essentially heard a loud noise, and he called the police. And he also testified that the car was running when he got there, and says that there was no response from Dan Markel when he was calling his name and trying to get a response from him. He said that he was actually gasping for air. So had they arrived there sooner, or he may have lived, but it seems like it was an instant kill because of the headshot. He testifies that Dan had a cell phone, in one hand and a business card in the other hand, and then he being David Sims had gone on and turned off the car. So Dan never regained consciousness, and he also testified that there was no sign of burglary. There was no sign of a struggle with Daniel. So it was basically just a clean hit, basically. Then we heard from Joanne Maltese, who was the crime scene specialist, and she testified to the materials that was collected from the scene, like the eyeglass lens and Dan Markel's wallet. So those two things were collected from the scene, and she testified to collecting swabs and lifting fingerprints from the scene for further testing. Not texting. She wasn't texting anyone. Well, she probably might. Look, I'm saying further testing. Further testing. She testifies that there was an indication of stippling, which means that the shot was likely done at close range, because it will leave some gunpowder residue on a particular surface. So she testified to that, and she also after her testimony, there was a stipulation of fact that was made to the jury, which basically said that the projectiles, which was the fired bullets, were examined microscopically. Sorry, big words are hard to pronounce sometimes for me. Microscopically. I'll start again. So the stipulated fact was that the projectiles was examined microscopically, and it belonged to a revolver. Then the most important witness of all this came up, and it was Craig Isom. He was the detective on this case, and he testifies to speaking with Wendi Adelson 2 hours after the shooting because of their familial relations, and this was at 2:14 p.m. on the 14th of July. He told her in the interview that she wasn't a suspect and was in trouble. So basically the interview was a non-custodial interview. I just want to say hi to the trial channel. She could have tested someone. So trial channel is covering this case as well, so you can go check out her channel. I've left the playlist in the description. You can check out the full clips if you want to rewatch the full thing and be up to speed. What I do here is just try and give you the key parts, so that if you don't want to do something like that, or you just miss something, or you just want to hear a different perspective, this is tailor-made for you. Like, just bring out the facts, basically. But anyway, so he testified to doing the interview with Wendi Adelson, and he also testified that he learned that Dan Markel and Wendi were in a contentious divorce. He says that Wendi was attempting to relocate to Florida. So there was something that he was trying to get into in regards to what Wendi was basically saying, but this was sustained. So we don't actually know the nature of what Wendi was going to say, because based on what he was going to say, it was going to be the reason for why she wanted to relocate. So they do have that behind the scenes, but because of the hearsay rule, they kind of have to bring in Wendi to kind of discuss this, which I imagine they're going to do as the trial goes on. I imagine the state are going to call Charlie Adelson as well, and with the defense with the defense in their opening statements admitting that Charlie did it, it could be very interesting testimony from him, because I want to see how they navigate that, because it's still a familial connection. Like, this case, like, how are they going to separate and be like, well, the mom can't have done this? So we shall see. I'm getting ahead of myself. But that objection was sustained on hearsay grounds. So the trial was, I wouldn't say it was a mess, but I really like this judge, because this judge is no nonsense. His name is Stephen Everett, and he has been on the defense case because the defense just kept objecting to the same ruling that he said no, that he said no, that they can't exclude that fact. So the prosecution can bring in a fact in regard to the emails coming in, because they were trying to object emails from Donna, which had the same email address with Harvey Donaldson as well. So they were trying to object that, to say that you don't know who's writing what, and they just kept objecting. So the judge basically took the jury out. The jury were probably tired at this point because they just kept moving in and out. But anyway, he sent the jury out, and essentially they were going through everything that they want to object to, etc., so that it can allow for a flow in court. But anyway, when the jury got back in, he being Craig Isom testifies to Wendy's divorce files and the emails where Dan was seeking to restrict Donna's access to the kids. So that's really key testimony, in my opinion. He reads that Dan was saying that he doesn't want Donna to have unsupervised contact with the kids. Let me just quickly go to that, because this part of the testimony goes into the prosecution's theory of the case.
Your investigation, did you review the emails that were subject to Wendi Adelson's Google search warrant?
Yes.
And in those emails, was there an email in which the contents of, well, let me ask you first about the motion. Did you review a motion where Dan Markel was seeking to restrict Donna Adelson's access to the children?
Yes, I did.
All right. And that motion was filed with the court?
Yes.
It was pending at the time of his death?
Yes.
And did you find in the emails any evidence that the contents of that motion were sent to Donna Adelson?
Yes.
And is that tab AA of State's Exhibit 64?
Yes.
And are the contents of that email substantially similar to the allegations made in the court filing?
Substantially, yes.
Okay. And what is the gist of what it is that Dan Markel is requesting?
He does not want Donna Adelson to have unsupervised contact with his children.
Why not?
Because of the statements that are made in here, and that was shown in the court filing, that the children reflected that Grandma says you're stupid, Grandma says she hates you.
And
Judge, I simply do not read from a document.
at this time, Judge, I would ask to admit State's Exhibit 64.
All parts or just the part that does not include AA?
Subject to tying up AA, I would seek to admit the whole thing.
States 64, any objection?
Just the objection previously made, Your Honor.
Concerning States 64, it will be admitted except for part
Yeah, so
AA.
so the parts but essentially the parts that anyway I just lost my train of thought. I hate when that happens. But essentially the judge had allowed the emails to come in. The same objection that the defense have been making to try and keep it up is what they keep doing. But this really helps the prosecution with their theory, because that is enough to well, I'm not gonna say enough, but it's a step forward to try and say that she was invested in getting this divorce to go her way. There was a vested interest to get this divorce to go her way, because he was making she was having an input in how the family is going to run, or well, I'm not gonna say the family, but how she feels about the kids. That's likely going to be stressed in the closing arguments, but definitely in my opinion, that does show an involvement from the onset with Wendi. So what I'm gathering here from this testimony and this evidence coming in to show that because he does testify that there were emails between Wendi and Donna where Donna was calling Dan names like a huge, you're a huge effer, calling him Elvis or something like that, basically calling him derogatory terms. So based on that, there was animosity between on Donna's side and Wendi's side. And Wendi, of course, this was a divorce, so it's going to is when I look at it, I am waiting for the hard evidence to come, but I see this as crumbs is what I'm trying to say. So it's not hard hitting, but it's definitely a real huge crumb that we need to latch on to. Basically, he testifies that the relocation request was denied, and Donna was still continuing to push for the relocation to South Florida. He also testifies to the benefits that could be had with the eventual death of Dan Markel. Let's actually watch, because this was a very interesting testimony to give.
Please reference tab V as in Victor, a June 25th email. Are you familiar with the court filing in which relocation was denied?
Yes.
Do you know on which date relocation was denied?
June 20th, 2013.
So this is email on tab V as in Victor. Is it 5 days after relocation was denied?
It is June 26th, 2013.
Does Donna Adelson, the defendant, propose another plan to facilitate relocation in light of the court's ruling?
Yes.
So this is done after the court's ruling,
Correct.
and relocation is still being discussed.
Yes.
Okay, what does she suggest?
She suggests that the children between Wendi and Dan start attending, or at least the ruse of them going to a Christian church or a Catholic church.
And to take pictures of it and send it to Dan Markel, right?
Yes.
To strong arm him into agreeing to the relocation, right?
Correct. Coercion.
Did Donna Adelson, the defendant in this case, suggest a bribe to Dan Markel to cause him to allow these kids to be moved to South Florida?
Yes.
Draw your attention to tab W. What is the proposal in reference to this bribe?
$1 million.
$1 million.
Yes.
Okay.
I like how the prosecution, how the state is just highlighting the key part of their theory. They just keep because we all know that the closing arguments and the opening arguments are they don't count for anything except just presenting what the prosecution and the defense are going to say. They don't really matter in terms of evidence. It's what happens afterwards. But I just like how she stresses that, hey, we told you this and this is being proved now.
Were there any death benefits, any monies that were to be gained from the death of Dan Markel?
Yes.
Did he have a life insurance policy?
He did.
What was the amount of the life insurance policy?
One of them was for $2 million.
And a second one for $60,000?
$60,000 from a second one through the law school.
Were there any survivor benefits for these kids in the event of Dan's death?
There was
What are those?
$4,800 a month.
Who gets that money for the disbursement of the kids?
Wendi Adelson.
Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. But I do have to say, this is more beneficial for Wendi, and this is why I think this part of testimony immediately after for okay, cool. They are definitely going to go after her now. They are definitely going to go after Wendi Adelson after this case if they haven't gone after her already. So she's directly going to benefit, even though it's in connection with the kids, taking care of the kids and all of that. She is going to benefit from the insurance payout. The life insurance really does I don't know how it works in the state. I don't have a life insurance. I don't know how it works in the States, but I do know from other cases that I've covered, like the Carolina Cooper trial, if they were married, they are entitled to that life insurance. However, these guys were going through a middle of a divorce, so I don't know if Wendi Adelson would be entitled to that life insurance. I don't know if the terms have changed. Look, if any one of you guys know how it works over there, let me know in the chat or in the comments if you're watching this back on replay. But from what I understand, like if they're going through a divorce and maybe he has changed the beneficiary of the life insurance, maybe that might impact things. So it would come down to who was set to benefit, but it seems more beneficial for Wendi to benefit from the life insurance and more of a benefit for her to engage in a criminal conspiracy or anything like that more than Donna, because we already heard from the opening from the opening statements or arguments or statements. Anyway, we've already heard that Donna Adelson was well off. That the Adelsons are very wealthy. So I can't see how, in my opinion, I can't see how something that would directly benefit Wendi would also benefit Donna as well. But that's just one part that I think is more applicable for Wendi rather than Donna here, because it would be more of a motive for Wendi to communicate with Charlie or anyone else, or get a hitman to carry out this crime more than it would be for Donna. So yes, that's what I think. But I do think that the relocation of the kids, her sending him the bribes after it was already denied, because that's what I understood from the testimony, that she was still pushing for the relocation. She was still sending him money to try and soften him a bit to try and get the relocation done. So I do see that as being okay. There's interest. There is definitely vested interest, but I can't see that. I mean, I can see that as a reason being pushed to kill if he just completely denies it. So they might get together, and Wendi is like, and then she might even, if Wendi says, hey, he has life insurance, it's like she might say, hey, good for you, because you benefit if you join in and get him killed. We get the kids. I want these kids here. We relocate here, so it's all win-win for us. If you go, that's that's what I think might be going on. That's what I think. Hello Sam, welcome to the chat. The trial channel says the beneficiaries were the boys, 1 million each. Yikes! I'm not certain about the 4,800 monthly payment though. So yeah, from what I gathered from the testimony, that was to go. I don't know. I actually don't know the terms, but I don't think we're ever going to know the terms. But the fact that Wendi Adelson is going to be getting this money, I guess that would mean that Wendi is going to be having hold of the money and then giving out to the children, maybe when they're of age. So maybe she might be putting it into a trust or putting it into a savings account for them. Maybe Donna wasn't benefiting financially; she was just possessive over the kids. Yeah. So this is the part that I feel on day one fell apart for me, because I was like, if this is just someone who just likes the kids and just want control of the kids, how does that lead someone to murder somebody? For what reason would that lead them to murder somebody? So that's where I'm like, okay, they need to deliver on the hook and the part that she got in contact with Charlie after the decoy. So it depends. It seems like it's going to hinge on the reliability of the testimony that comes out in regards to the decoy or the blackmailer, the FBI agent that, from their theory. So it seems like it's gonna come down to that. Moving on, he testifies to a previous tracking Dan Markel when he had gone to the gym on the 18th of July 2014. This was around 9. The tracking app began from 9:11 to 10:39 a.m. and they were showing CCTV footage of this tracking. They were even going as far as getting the bus video cameras to show the tracking. So you can see how much resources has been poured into getting all of this evidence together to bring this family. So I this is where I don't think that the state will bring this if they don't have hard evidence, because just by hearing this testimony alone, and how they were gathering all of this evidence, it doesn't seem like they are playing around. He testifies that based on the time of the shooting, let me back up a little bit. So the bus clips was from the time of 10:46 to 10:55, where the Prius had taken a turn into another road and then came back into the same route around the same time from 10:46 to 10:55. So this was, he said it was Thomasville Road. So that was the time that the Prius had gone back in. So he says that based on that time frame, that the shooting had likely happened at 10:51 a.m. So the Prius had rejoined the traffic. He wouldn't rejoin the traffic if they didn't get the shooting done at Benton. I believe he said Benton Road, and get it done quickly to rejoin the route. So he testifies that that the Prius was likely 2006 to 2009 year of made, and he explained the process of going through to actually track down the vehicle, because they were not able to get the license plate. So imagine if this was a wrong Prius. Imagine if this was wrong vehicle. They had spent that money for no reason, but like I said, they wouldn't sink this money if they weren't sure that these were the people. He testifies that they learned that the Prius was a rental from Save Gas, and they learned that Rivera had rented the car based on the rental contract. His brother Sigfredo Garcia was also, he was an associate of Sigfredo Garcia, but his name wasn't on the rental contract. It was just Rivera, and the rental contract was taken out on the 16th of July 2014, and it was due back on the 17th of July 2024 to 2014. Damn, what am I doing? 2014, but they didn't get it back until 21st of July 2014, and they being the rental company. So he also testified that the only connection to the men in the Prius was Kathryn McBuena. I cannot say her name, but Kathryn Mac. I'm gonna call her for the purposes of this, because I am going to butcher that surname. So for the purposes of all the streams covering this case, I'm going to call her Kathryn Mack. Just to make it easy. I'm just going to call her Kathryn Mack. He says that post-murder, she started receiving money from the Adelson Institute, and she was working for them, apparently in an administrative role. Let's hear this testimony, because this is wild. This is wild.
All right. And the nicknames that are shown there, are those the nicknames that those two go by?
Correct. Tuto and Tato.
Tuto and Tato.
Correct.
Okay. Were you able to establish any link through people between the two that came in the Prius?
Okay, so I'm sorry to pause it there. I'll go back, but there's no way I can pronounce that. Magbanuha. I can't pronounce that. I'm sorry. I'll just stick to Mac. I can't pronounce that. Thank you though, Chana, but I can't pronounce that.
And the Adelson family?
No.
Okay. Were you able to establish any type, did you develop a theory or any evidence as to why these two people came to Tallahassee to murder Dan Markel?
Well, eventually we learned that the female, Kathryn Magbanua, was the mother of Sigfredo Garcia's children and considered each other spouses, to my best understanding.
Okay, and
At
did
the
she
same
have...
time,
Go ahead.
same time, we also found out that she had been dating and in a relationship with Charlie Adelson.
All right, so initially, was there any connection between these two guys from Miami and Dan Markel?
None.
All right, so this was the connection that was established, turned out to be Kathryn Magbanua.
The only connection we could find.
Okay, and was that done through phone records and ultimately other communication records and testimony?
That's correct.
Okay. Did you, as a result of developing Kathryn Magbanua as a potential suspect, investigate her at all?
Yes.
All right, and did that include an investigation into her employment?
That's correct.
What was her employment status around the time of this murder?
At the time of the murder, I believe she worked at another dental office somewhere, but post-murder, she started receiving compensation from the Adelson Institute.
What is the Adelson Institute?
It's a dental practice, according to online information operated by Harvey Adelson and Charlie Adelson.
Okay, and were the two of them dentists?
Yes, I believe Charlie is recognized as a periodontist.
Did you come to learn what Donna Adelson's role, if any, was in that business?
Yes, she was clerical and kept books for the business.
Did you attempt to procure some employment records from the Adelson Institute to verify Ms. Magbanua's employment?
We did.
All right, tell us about that.
Oh, God.
Myself and Special Agent Sanford from the FBI went to the office, physically, to the office in Broward County, Tamarack, and served a subpoena seeking records for the employment of Kathryn Magbanua, and we received nothing at the initial time. Later on, the best I could get from, I believe it was an attorney that represented that dental office, just a list of checks that were paid checks from the Adelson Institute to Kathryn Magbanua, but no W-2, no responsibility forms, nothing that showed what she actually did as being employed at that Institute.
So my question in all of this is, are they gonna go after the dad? Are they gonna go after Harvey Adelson as well? Because this is his business involved in this as well. Like, it's bad enough. I mean, that would be very interesting because I'm guessing, I mean, from the testimony already, she is being paid after the hit. This is methodical. She's being paid after the hit, and she has no job description there. She was actually working for another dental agency or office or whatever, and all of a sudden she just started getting paid from these guys for 2 years. Okay, I wish I was that fortunate, but let's continue on with the testimony.
What was it, Red?
Hey, take a trial. Oh my gosh, she is part of the Ions Condiment Island. It gets spicy in there, but yeah, like, thank you so much for becoming a member. I need to design more images. I'm gonna get on that so that we can have more images, but at the moment, you do have access to these 3 images, so I will get more. If you guys have imagery suggestions, let me know, and then I'll get on designing them. But yeah, those are the current images that we have so far. The ketchup bottle, in my opinion, is my favorite, and that is when something that is very, very useful when something spicy has just been released, has just happened. So that's my favorite one. But yeah, this is for the when you're deep undercover. The lurkers is what the sleuth, sorry, not lurkers, the sleuth is what that imagery conveys. And obviously the bomb, we know about that, but I'll get more images. Just let me know what type of images interest you guys, but I will look for more so that it can be fun. It can be more fun here. But anyway, I'm rambling on. Thank you so much for becoming a member. I appreciate you. Yes, it's a big question. Yes, yeah. I want to know the role that the dad play in this, and if they're gonna go after him, because I can't imagine him not being aware of anything that's going on with Donna or with Wendi or with Charlie. Like, this is his family, so I'll be very surprised if for some reason they don't have him on anything. Very surprised. But let's continue on. He continues to basically testify to receiving the documents of her employment that started on July 18th, 2014, the day of the death.
Or business hours when you entered there physically?
Yes.
Was Ms. Magbanua present when you entered the building?
No.
Did the employees that you have contact with seem to know who she was or what it was that she did there?
The initial person that I spoke to at the desk, at the front desk, she had no idea who this person was, who Magbanua was. The other person that came up to the front, she said she knew the name, but did not know what her responsibilities were with the company.
And the person that knew the name, who is that?
Erica Johnson, I believe.
And I'm going to approach and show you 68. Recognize 68?
Yes, this is all I received as far as any type of records for Magbanua and her relationship with the Adelson Institute.
All right. And did the records include any job description for Ms. Magbanua?
No.
Any employment application?
No.
Schedule?
No.
Timesheet?
Nope.
W-2 forms or tax filing records?
Nope.
Any performance evaluations?
None.
So only the checks?
Only the checks.
So I'm guessing this is what the prosecution were theorizing in the opening arguments, to say that they were using a charity to basically send these checks through, which is why I'm guessing that they wouldn't need to have all this information ready if they were just sending it through charities. Again, it just sounds like embezzlement to me. It sounds like a financial crime to me. if I'm being honest with you. It sounds like the feds might actually want to get involved in this.
According to those checks, during what period of time was Kathryn McBanoa on the Adelson Institute payroll?
From September of 2014 all the way, this particular one shows March of 2016, but I believe it goes further than that into May 2016.
All right. So it starts shortly after the homicide, about 2 months?
Yes. Actually, the homicide happened July 18th, and the first check was dated September 18th.
For what pay period?
I don't see the pay period on this one.
But presumably she'd be paid for a pay period that had
2 weeks
concluded. Okay.
According to the way this is laid out.
All right, and we are going to learn more about the bump or the undercover operation, but is it fair to say the checks terminated shortly after the undercover operation in 2016?
Yes.
Did you notice in your review of that exhibit, the documents provided by the Adelson Institute, that some of those check numbers were consecutive?
Yes, I did.
Who signed those checks?
Donna Adelson,
All of them?
everyone.
Were you ever
Wow.
able to develop any evidence that McBanoa was physically going to the Adelson Institute during these pay periods?
Never.
Any evidence that she performed some service off-site for that business?
Nothing was established that showed that.
Any evidence of any contact with any patients?
No,
And you were, we'll learn later, listening to some of her phone calls, right?
that's correct.
When was Kathryn McBanoa arrested for her role in this murder?
October 1, 2016,
Were you present for her arrest?
I was.
And was she allowed to contact her lawyer from the arrest scene?
Yes,
Did you speak to her attorney as well?
I did.
Who was her attorney?
Tara Kawas.
What happened after that phone call?
After Ms. McBanoa was placed into a car for transport to the Broward County Jail, way less than 20 minutes later, I received a phone call on my phone.
Okay, so they're gonna go into that, but I'm gonna go to the good part. But that right there, we have, so after the killing was done, Donna Adelson was signing checks to Kathryn Mack, and she was receiving these checks that were signed by Donna, not Charlie, not anyone else, but Donna Adelson. For what reason? No one knows, because she wasn't actually working there. There was no employment information. It seemed like just a shell, basically. I don't think I'm using the right financial terminologies there, but yeah, it's wow. The jury, I mean, if I was a juror hearing that, I don't know. I'm going to keep an open mind, but that's damning. That is very damning. And we're gonna go to the cross examination to see how the defense cleared this up. but that was damning. Like, for Don to be signing these checks and be involved, it just shows that she does have overreach in this company that was supposed to be owned by Harvey and Charlie. So her involvement is clear. I mean, at least in the commissioning of the payments to Katie. Moving on. This next part is what surprises me, and this was when he being Detective Isom, he gave testimony in regards to receiving a call from Charlie Adelson's lawyer when he was processing Kathryn, but this was sustained under under a co-conspirator. Like basically, it was beyond the scope because I don't believe Charlie has been listed as a co-conspirator, so they couldn't go into the discussion or whatever.
To
So
her
that's
attorney.
what happened. Anyway, let's listen to the testimony.
I spoke to her attorney, and I asked that Ms. Kawas, the attorney representing her at the time, that she contact her client, Meg Banwell, at the Broward County Jail, and if in fact she wanted to cooperate with the investigation, to call me back.
So you were interested in getting information from Ms. Meg Benoit?
Correct.
Information about the other parties involved in this case?
Yes.
Okay.
What I mean by cooperation is if she wanted to provide testimony about other players in this. And so I told Ms. Kawas, if you'll talk to your client, obviously out of my presence, and if she decides to cooperate, call me back, and I will go to the Broward County Jail and meet.
Did that happen?
No.
What happened instead?
Well, like I said, within less than 20 minutes from that conversation, I received a phone call from a gentleman that identified himself as David Marcus. Instead, he was an attorney representing Charlie Adelson. And he asked that if Charlie Adelson was to be arrested, if I would just contact him. And
There's relevance. This is not co-conspirator admission.
Specifically as a co-conspirator aspect, Ms. Cappleman, you need to keep the examination focused on that.
Well, we got it into evidence because after this, she just basically said, "Yeah, so Charlie called you." Yeah, I said, "Yeah." Charlie's lawyer called him, and that was the bulk of the direct testimony. Damn, my eyes perked up at this point because I was like, "What on earth have we just walked into? Basically, what is this?" So, for someone that is just a normal person on direct examination, a normal person is signing off checks to somebody that was commissioning a hit on somebody. Okay, on cross-examination, the defense, the stream is glitching. That's probably my internet. Oh gosh. Let me try and get through because it's. I appreciate that. Oh gosh, it's my internet, but it will pick back up. Anyway, moving. Let me get back into this. The defense was highlighting that Donna never said that she hated Dan, and he agreed with this. The defense also highlighted. The defense also brought up the bribes and says that it's not out of the realm in divorces to offer financial incentives, and he says no, that he doesn't know, that it's not his area of practice. And the defense also highlighted that Donna was not going to benefit from the life insurance. He agrees, but he didn't really get into it. The defense also highlighted that Wendi didn't take suggestions by Donna to dress their kids up in Christian clothes because they were Jewish, and Dan was Jewish basically, and the investigator agrees that Wendi did not actually take the advice of Donna there. Is it better now, guys? Let me know, because this is the first that's happened to me. But apparently, let me try and fix that. Apparently, there's a glitch. Let me try and see. So let me. All right, let me try and fix this quickly. Let me see if this works. Let me know if that's better for you guys. Let me know if that's better. But anyway, let me continue with the reading. The state also highlighted that he did not receive a call from Donna, like how he received a call from Charlie, and so let me go to this point. so that you guys can see how this exchange happened, because I thought that this was an interesting way to approach the bad facts in regards to the lawyer being called by Charlie.
Don't call somebody else that's a co-conspirator their attorney.
You didn't receive a call from anyone identifying themselves as Donna's attorney in that instant, did
No,
you?
sir.
Okay. Ms. Cappleman asked you about what has been coined the grandmother motion. Again, you're not a family law attorney.
Right. Still not.
And so, although you read the motion
Yes.
and you're educated,
Oh.
absent having some legal knowledge, can you interpret what is being requested in the motion?
I believe so. I think it's pretty plain.
I'm glad you said that. Now, I want to go back.
Okay, so that was them. I mean, even though Donna didn't call, if there was a communication between her and Charlie to actually make that call, this cross-examination falls apart. Then we also have the defense showing emails of Donna, where Donna was encouraging to take the kids to Shabbat classes and all those things this was to basically go against the Christian whole part where she was overreaching with the kids. And they also showed emails in regards to sometimes the dad writing in the emails, and also sometimes and showing that it was a shared email that was used, and there's no way to verify whether Donna was actually writing most of these emails or whether it will be the dad writing the emails. That's the part that I'm like, is the dad actually going to be brought into this somehow? That'll be very interesting for me. But nonetheless, this particular testimony or this particular cross examination, yes, it's ambiguous. It's really ambiguous, and I think if they receive more and more of emails like this, the jury might take that into consideration, that it's not just only her that operated this account. But nothing is going to change. Like, I can see the play, because if the father, it's a third party corporate play basically, because if the father owns the Adelson Institute and the dental practice, etc., with the child, it's not out of the realm of the possibility to possibility to throw the wife under the bus when it's now time to when it's now time to basically, when it's crunch time, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, so I'm guessing that they're setting up like they're trying to at least lay eggs that you might have the wrong person here because she's being framed up by the husband. I could be wrong with that. But by them introducing this type of evidence, that could be the route that they're going into. That's what I think. Okay, I'm glad. Thanks for the update, trial channel. I'm glad that it is going better now. That's the first time that's happened with me, so I don't know why the internet is this bad today. I have no idea, but hopefully it remains like that. So the last witness for the day goes by the name of Mr. Louis Rivera, and he was the driver of the Prius when they had carried out the hit, and he gave testimony that he was not offered anything. It's basically a formality. He was not offered anything to testify today, to amend his testimony anyway. He's testifying to the only the truth, that he cut a deal, and all of those things. But he testified that he was hired to kill for the purpose of murder, and that was because the person that hired him wanted the kids. He testifies to not knowing who the family is, and is only working through Katie or Kathryn Mack, who, yeah. So That's essentially a testimony here. Let's have a look.
Not really.
Was it a murder for hire?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know that somebody was paying Katie?
Yes, ma'am.
And Katie was the one that brought the money to you all, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was the purpose of this murder as you understood it?
That they wanted the kids.
Who wanted the kids?
Wendi.
Okay. And did you understand that you were killing the father of the kids so that Wendi could have the kids?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you previously referred to a dentist being involved?
Yes, ma'am.
Who was the dentist?
Charlie.
And how was he related?
Katie's boyfriend, side piece, whatever you want to call him.
All right, so Katie was the wife of Garcia, but also the girlfriend of the dentist?
Yeah.
Did you have any contact with the dentist ever?
No.
Did you have any contact with any member of the Adelson family?
No, ma'am.
Everything went through Katie, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What did the dentist, if you know, have to do with the lady in Tallahassee who needed her kids?
I don't know nothing about him. I don't know nothing about that family.
Who was in charge of getting the money after the job was done?
Katie.
How much were you to be paid for your part in this crime?
35.
$35,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know the total amount that the job paid?
No, not really.
Did you know how much Garcia got?
40, I believe.
$40,000?
Yeah.
And did you know how much Katie got?
No, I don't know. I can't remember. But I think it was like 40. I think total was be like 100, something like that.
Okay, somewhere in the neighborhood of $100,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Was it a one-time payment or was it a payment that occurred over time? Is what you got.
No, it's a one-time payment.
What did you know about the man that you came to Tallahassee to kill?
I don't know nothing about him.
How did you know who to kill?
Prosecutor. Garcia.
How did he know?
Katie.
Did he have some information about the man you were here to kill?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell him what that was.
I was a piece of paper with his picture on of his face and the address.
Picture of Dan Markel's face?
Yes, ma'am.
And the address of what? Where he lived?
Of his house, yes.
Did you and Rivera refer to each other, I'm sorry, you and Garcia refer to each other as brothers?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that you and Mr. Garcia?
Yes, ma'am.
Please silence your phone.
Have you ever been to Tallahassee before you came for this case, related to this case?
Never in my life.
How many times did you come to Tallahassee related to this case?
This case twice.
So were you with Secretary Garcia both times?
Yeah,
Was that one time in June and one time in July?
I believe so.
And in July was the time, the second time was when the murder happened, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it just the two of you on both of these trips?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that testimony was essentially to show the background into how he got there. So he already knows. So it's I don't know how I don't know how murder for hire works, but I just find it stupid that you would disclose the reason for the murder. So kill the person so that we can have kids, so that I can have their kids, so that this person can have their children. Why not just I don't know, why not just say, look, we'll pay you more money that we don't have to tell you the reason, just go and do it. I don't know. I mean, if I was, I'm not snitch. No. Okay, I'm gonna take Bruce Rivers' advice and not self snitch. I'm not gonna do that. But if I was in that, I don't know. I would have done this differently, because this day might come. I don't know. I would have just paid extra to just keep that part quiet. Anyway. He also testified to receiving a picture of Dan Markel to know who to kill, and the address of Dan Markel by Katie. Sam has gifted Ketchup Court memberships. Thank you so much, Sam. And YBE has received the gift. I didn't know that you were here, YBE, young black economist. I think she's here, but she's lurking. I don't know. I don't know. If you are here and you are lurking, I see you. Sam has baited you out. Well, bait means put your business out there. But anyway, hope you enjoy your membership, Young Black Economist. Let Sam. Thank you, Sam, for the gift. And yeah, so continuing on with his testimony, he testifies to buying a gun off the street in order to kill Dan. He says that he took 2 trips before killing him, and he followed him on the first trip to a daycare. However, he didn't kill him because the kids were with him. So because of that, they didn't do it. And he goes on to give he gave testimony that his gun was a .38 revolver, which matches with the projectiles that they found. And he testifies that Dan Markel was about to leave town the day after, so it had to be done that particular day. And says that Wendi had told Kathryn this. So, and he says that he did not know who Wendi is. So this was their only chance to get rid of Dan Markel, because the first time he was at daycare. So that's why, I'm guessing that's why they took all that time to track him to the gym, just to make sure that they don't lose him. Because they know where he lives. So they could have just gone to the address and wait for him, but they just wanted to be, they just wanted to be sure. So that shows you how this got sloppy for them, because from all that tracking is how the lead detective was able to basically track them down. He says that Garcia was driving, and he says that Garcia was the one that shot him, and he was only driving. And he also testifies to receiving the money from Kathryn, or K.E. Mack. It was $35K in cash, $1K in 1K staple. So you get the so she got paid, K got paid, they got paid, everyone got paid, everyone's happy. He testifies to buying a motorcycle, and so did Garcia. Garcia bought a motorcycle with this money, and it was only a month after he had gotten this payment. And he also says that he had dumped the gun. He says that he would have robbed the owner of the money. This is a funny testimony. But if he had known that the Adelsons were this rich, he would have robbed them instead, rather than go through with the killing, basically. So that's interesting. On cross-examination, this was where got really interesting. The defense couldn't really do much, if I'm being honest. But he gave testimony that he didn't know he was going to the gym that day, so he had followed him. So yeah, like I said, on the direct, they had to do that, even though they know where he lives. They didn't know his movements, so they were on him very early to just make sure that they followed him to get the best time to kill him. The state also highlights that it was Wendi Adelson that wanted to have him killed for the kids. So they threw Wendi under the bus. Let's hear the cross-examination, and I'll give my thoughts afterwards.
I didn't know he was going to the gym. I just followed him.
You followed him to the gym?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you followed him to his house?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's where he was killed?
Yes, ma'am.
And the woman who wanted him to be killed, past you and Sigfredo and Katie, the woman who wanted him to be killed was Wendi Adelson, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
It was she wanting her children, correct?
Absolutely.
Throw her on the bus.
Mr. Garcia, I'm going to show you what...
Mr. Rivera.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I apologize. Mr. Rivera, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defendant's Exhibit 50. Could you take a look at that and tell me if you recognize that?
Yeah.
And what is that?
It's like a profile of everybody's face.
Okay. And did you make some marks on this for me and then sign it on March the 11th of 2025?
Yes, I did.
You just hold on to that for a second. Mr. Rivera, when we met with you that day taking your deposition, I presented that to you. You gave us information about what had happened, pretty similar to what you talked about here today, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And when we were done talking about those things and some information about Sigfredo and Katie, I presented you with what's in front of you as Defendant's Exhibit 50, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And I asked if you would put the number 1 and circle it next to the person you know as Katie, who you said was in charge of this whole deal, correct?
Yep.
And did you do that?
Yep.
All right. And then I said, would you put a number 2 next to the person you say did this killing?
Yes.
And you did that, correct?
Yes, I did.
And that was Sigfredo Garcia.
Yes, ma'am.
The first one was Katie McBanois, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then I said, would you put a number 3 next to yourself on the paper? And did you do that?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're the one who got the gun that was used to kill Danny Markel, and you drove the car that day. You didn't shoot him, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then I said, if you would, please put the number 4 next to the man who was killed, and you did that with Danny Markel, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then I said, if you would, put the number 5 next to the lady that wanted the man killed. And did you do that?
Yes, I did.
And was that with Wendi Adelson?
Yes, I did.
And then I asked you if the 2 people on the top of the page who have their pictures there and the names Donna Adelson and Harvey Adelson, you see those on the top?
Yes, ma'am.
I asked you, as far as you know, were they involved in any of this? And you said no, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So I asked you to put X's next to the people who on that page were not involved in this.
Yes, ma'am.
And you did that.
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
There was no redirect. Honestly, I'll give the lawyers. I want to know if she's a public defender. I doubt it. It seems more like private counsel, but I doubt that she's a public. But I do like her lawyering. But again, it's just because you're highlighting that Donna was not involved in this, it doesn't. If the prosecution has any talk between Wendi and Donna about this whole thing, it's game over to carry out this killing. And the link may not even have to be directly with Donna. The link might just have to be with the person that commissioned the killing. So the focus being on Wendi, unless the defense knows that there is no link to Charlie or Wendi outside of just writing the names, I guess writing the names on the check, I guess they might want to argue that that's just how they do things at the office in the institute, because Donna works there too. It's a family business or something like that. And she was just signing these checks thinking that Charlie was just doing business like it's automatic. Basically it's automatic to sign the checks of people that work there. So when Charlie had added that to the payroll, she just had to sign because she's part of the employees there. So if they can, so I'm kind of anticipating a scenario where they might not, but let me just run with it. I'm seeing a scenario where they might show Donna signing other paychecks in the business. If that happens, and not just this one, that could be enough just to sow that down and be like, that's just a normal course of business. And she just had no idea that this was what the son was involved with. That's it. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm imagining that would be their course of action to remove these bad facts as the case continue. So, okay, YB may not be here. She just got gifted a membership anyway. That's good. That's good. I admire Sam really for gifting that membership. Yeah. So what does this all mean? So my final thoughts on this for day one is very early, but I do think that the prosecution has really come out swinging, especially with the bad facts in regards to Donna signing off on the checks to be received. But I'm really expecting to see those flights and the Google searches. I'm expecting to see something like that to tie it all in. But they have effectively thrown Wendi under the bus. They have thrown Wendi under the bus because it just seems to me that they are trying to say that these were just the kids doing what they're doing, and she just had no idea that the kids were up to this level of lunacy. So the state has presented all the witnesses, well, not all, sorry, they have presented witnesses to show that a crime had taken place, and it's only tying to Wendi Adelson and Charlie Adelson so far. So the Katie Mack and Rivera, like we just watched, it's all tying back to Wendi and Charlie, but nothing to Donna so far. I do think that they are going all in on the defense that Donna had no involvement. I would be very interested to see whether they're going to argue that she might even be framed by Charlie or even by the husband, because I'm guessing there's going to be more bad emails coming out from this email address, and they are going to play on that ambiguity where you don't know, or you can't distinguish whether it's from the father Harvey or from Donna herself. I'm guessing that's how they're gonna play it, but the question remains: can the jury separate the parents? Can they separate Donna from the children? Can they? How will the defense handle the bad fact that just came out today that Donna Adelson has signed off on the checks to pay Katie? I thought I gave my theory already. I think that it might be in their best interest to introduce either on their case in chief financial records to show that what she normally does in the normal course of business doing there, that she does sign off checks to other people. If she doesn't even work there, then that's I would imagine she works there, even though it's RV on the books, RV and Charlie, but I would imagine she works there as well to even have her name as part of those checks. But that to me seems like the only logical play that they might go with. The defense already admitted that Charlie is guilty on the opening statements, so it'd be very interesting to see how he would come in and testify to all that's going on, whether he's gonna throw Donna under the bus. It's gonna be interesting to see how Wendi approaches all of this, because we just seen from this cross examination with Louis Rivera, they had no problem saying nope, it was definitely Wendi, and point all the fingers at Wendi. The one I can't wait for day 2. I believe that Sweet Pea Diamond, also known as Take It to Trial, is covering it on our channel. I'll leave a link to our channel below, so that if you want to watch it live, I believe she is doing it live. So I'll leave a link to that stream, so that if you want to watch it live, you can go watch it live there. The trial channel also does clips after the trial is done, so that it's easier to follow, like to still get the full picture, but yeah, it'll be easier to get the full picture when you go on the trial channel to see the trial for yourself. But honestly, I do my mind is blown in this case. This is a very fun, it seems like it's a real fun trial, and I would love to see. So far, I do think the legal team is doing okay by trying to remove Donna's culpability in it. They're doing okay. I don't think they're doing spectacular. I think we'll get to see, especially her lawyer. She goes by the name of Jackie Fulford. So I do rate her a lot. I mean, and when I say rate, I mean respect her. Like, I do think I do think that she's a very good lawyer, very well spoken as well. But Wendi didn't have to do anything with the business. But Wendi didn't have anything to do. I mean, it's coming from Rivera, Louis Rivera, that Wendi was the one to be speaking with Katie. So it was for that. So unless Charlie is stitching her up, I just it's just, you don't have to be part of the business. Like I like how the prosecution are showing this. It's showing that there is more than one person here that's doing this. Like it's not just one person, that everyone seems to have a vested interest in him dying, and it's all trickling through Katie and Charlie. That's it. Like, so Wendi not having anything to do with the business, it doesn't seem like that's going to be a problem, because she did have something to do with Katie being part of the hit. So the business just seems to be a front to make the payments through, so that Katie could get paid. So that's part of the conspiracy, and Donna was part of it, as well as Charlie. Anyways, I'm gonna end it there. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, 6 p.m. Eastern time, to go through day 2 of the trial. I cannot wait. I want to see how this trial unfolds. It looks extremely interesting. I did not watch the Charlie Adelson trial, but I will leave the link for Murder Church so that you can go and check out on Publicly Buzz channel. He's going through Charlie Adelson trial as this trial goes on. So you have a lot. You are spoiled for choice, basically. So yeah, I can't wait for tomorrow. So without further, I'm gonna see you guys later. Have a great evening or day. If you're watching this back on replay, hi replay crew, make sure you hit that like button. If you're here now, hit that like button also. Say goodbye in the chat if you've been lurking. I got love for all of you. I will see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Bye for now. Thank you everyone for tuning in for another Catch Up Court live stream. Make sure that you smash that like button, as well as hitting that subscribe button to be notified of our future live streams. We go live regularly, bringing you case updates and recaps of ongoing trials, so make sure you hurry back on the next live stream. We also have more content on the channel that you can binge on. Check out the playlist that we have showcasing all of these contents. Without further, I go by the name of Hines, your friendly neighborhood ketchup man, and I'll see you back in court.